rescue. You want to press people, you no book. Show me a million rescue. To save somebody, a million rescue.
Yeah. To deliver you from something, take you for something.
So you are a poor people, rescue me, save. But we the old people, rescue the million rescue. That can help me while here.
That's the same thing.
But Jota Bagara can't tell you the water. He can't pour one naked the water back to kill on money. You know they get people the pressure. Husband not working. I live in Joseph. I even made 1,000 a lot. I even made 500 a lot profit. Let me come and go. Children waiting for me. You are Jota Bagara. Where will be our result next year? We wouldn't even 1 year. Where will be our result the following year?
Okay. Thank you so much. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Patience Mane.
Patience Mane. You selling the market here?
Yes.
What you selling at here?
Yes.
What's your name?
No market. Can't get some. I follow for Yancy so.
You go for the market, you see so?
I see food because the food price, the way up, you not understand ourselves. When you go to there, you buy another price. When you come, you buy a different price. So the money I can put it back on my.
Also, the money you carry in, to the cold storage.
They put it back on my. Very rich.
How much for the fish?
You buy snapper 14,000. What is the buy? 10,000, 8,000. Buy it 14,000. One cartoon snapper 14,000. So we beg the government. We ask y'all to help us to beg our government. We say you keep to rescue us. But the rescue that you're doing that we're not understanding it. And when they pull the police on the street, our boyfriend there, they're not giving nothing to us again. They say they can't rescue us. Why they cause a motor bomber running? They were not doing the one. They are breaking the government. We the poor people, they must find place for us that we want be able to scare our clothes. They got poor people, they got rich people in the town. Some of all we not got more from the South God. And that basically we do, we not understand our children run to school. Our children, when we can't sell the market, we can't make a damn. They say rescue, but we're not understanding the rescue team. So they were taking them from all of the street for smoking, for drugs and things. But I think you see them now. All of them turn to Zoom. They can stay in the freeze.
So the drugs are to you?
Rampant now, a more than rampant.
Okay.
The drugs is rampant. Some of them almost 20% on the street because of Zuni.
The zombie drugs?
Yeah, the Zuni that they bring in Jota Bagara to drink. Because we are trying to sell our Kush. But now the Zuni, when he said I see that you are so sticking at it. So we asking him to please, we the parent of our boss children. We ask him to please help us to make our children to leave Zuni. Because he said he came to change things. And no change, we not understand our land. Police people getting our keke motor back, hard time. Police people beating our children on the street. They say they should wear stuff, they should become over there, walk over that one, everything they do. But what police people are home killing? That just one thing we just getting dropping there now. Tell him, don't Napa, tell him sorry. We're not taking somebody like for the country. So we should tell our president to help with the poor people.
Selling money, how's the business?
We get money going for it. We don't let you tell what take you for. But money ain't in the country now.
In process.
For now, if I have to tell you that before we're all there, all
Raya Praise. We also do appreciate the laundry outside. Yes, we also do appreciate the laundry outside. Yes, CDC family. We also do appreciate the laundry outside. Yes, CDC family. We also do appreciate the laundry outside. Yes, CDC family. We also do appreciate the laundry outside. Yes, CDC family. We also do appreciate the we also, I say we also, see the shame people also, we also. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, like people love you, yeah. We don't know what they want from you, hey. They bring the question, Papa, you balance all the equation without the calculator. They bring the just in. You keep on giving the checkmate. Checkmate. Keep on giving the checkmate. Even though you lose a point, you keep on giving the checkmate. Keep on giving the checkmate. Checkmate. Keep on giving the checkmate. Love you, real people love me. Love you, real people appreciate me. We will celebrate you, and jubilate you. We will appreciate you. No matter what they say, no matter what they do. We go back. See this shit, love you. We go back. Everybody love you. We go back. Marketeers love you. We go back. All the students love you. We go back.
there's always going to be this thing between Unity Party and CDC issue of projects. Who's started this and who's doing this and who's continuing this? Oh, the other put this other money and all those kinds of allegations will always be around both of you governments. So it was important to put you in. First of all, I want you to honestly give us an idea. Did you become deputy public works minister in 2018?
Exactly.
Okay, give us an idea of roads that were being done by the Unity Party government then that your government inherited, continued. Give us an idea first of all.
All right, Julius, thank you. That's a brilliant question. So my memory can vividly tell me that when we came to government, a lot of the projects that you're hearing about that Unity Party did, uh, we we have to start it all over again. Uh, Starting with negotiation, starting with project arrangement, starting with setting up offices and all of that and what
No,
have
no, no.
you.
Let us let us start with the ones that were in motion, that were started, or were there road projects that were started?
Oh yeah, sure. So I remember we inherited a role from coconut factory, Banga, up to to Ganta. It was in maintenance stage. They done that role. I remember during the campaign, there was this she's our mother, she's our grandmother, but there was this.
What about the Japanese freeway?
So I'm coming there.
Okay.
So there was this groundbreaking ceremony that took place in Banga during the heat of the election that had to do with Banga Salaye. But like I said, I mean, if you go back to the Ministry of Public Works and look at details, documents, it will tell you that that whole project was rediscussed, was revamped, or reorganized. Okay, coming to what you're talking about, Freeport to Raleigh. Yes, we made that corridor.
Yeah, I can
pavement.
remember one side was already
One
done,
side,
and the
one
other side
side was in progress. We made it and continued the one side and completed the one side, and then we did the second side of it. So far, so good. Except you correct me later on in the midst of the program, but those are the projects I can remember that we really actually inherited.
What about the road from Maryland to River G? I think there was some pavement started from the Maryland end to come to River G.
Precisely, we inherited that. We inherited the pavement from that the corridor from Harper coming to Fishtown.
Mhm.
All right. So we inherited that project. Pavement was ongoing between Harper to Plibo. We made that in progress. We also made from Kavala Junction to Kavala. It was also in progress. We made it, and we like I said, we have to vigorously take on them to make sure they are completed. And we didn't make any fuss about it, and we did what we could do for the Liberian people in our corridor.
Okay. Now, which ones?
That we initiated the pavement of the road from Gabriel Tucker Bridge to Freeport, meaning Gabriel Tucker Bridge, Freeport, Freeport.
When you say initiate, what does that mean? What did you do?
Meaning we
I'm asking because Minister Giddens has been saying that they've been negotiating with the Japanese. So, are you talking about the bridge right? The bridge right?
Gabriel Tucker
To
Freeport.
Freeport. He has been talking about them negotiating with the Japanese. So what did you initiate on that road?
So that corridor, listen, when the Japanese completed phase 2 of the project from Freeport to Red Line, that corridor needed serious attention. We, as a government, the government engaged the Japanese government, and that engagement was very fruitful. At the end of the day, it culminated into securing the fundings. It culminated into discussing.
Did you secure the funding
Oh,
already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Do you remember what the amount is?
I may not have the figure of here, but the funding was secure. Those are documents that cannot have. Those are documents that are readily available at the Ministry of Public Works, except somebody just want to play politics. Not in that, we took on the road from Freeport to Gabriel Tucker. As a matter of fact, works started. MDMC mobilized.
No, that's from Freeport to
Gabriel Tucker.
Bomb Mines, not Gabriel Tucker. You mean because Gabriel Tucker is the one, right?
Gabriel Tucker, yeah, Freeport St. Paul.
Oh, yeah, St. Paul.
From Freeport St. Paul Bridge.
Okay.
That corridor mobilization was completed and actual works started. Groundbreaking took place and work started in actuality.
Okay. Now, what let us welcome Assistant Minister Cherson, a former Assistant Minister Cherson, who was also at the ministry. You can wear the headphone before I put you on before it creates that feedback. Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you.
Okay. We thought it was important to bring you all here and have an understanding of some of these things that are being said. Let's go to Nimba.
Very good.
Which roads did you do in Nimba?
Thank you. So we have to put Nimba into proper context so that the Liberian people can understand exactly what former President George Weah and his cabinet did between the corridor, the entire Nimba, because Nimba was completely cut off from the rest of the countries, were completely cut off from the rest of the county, except Bon County, where we have paved road. And so the corridor, the famous corridor between Ganta, Sakepe, Tapeta, Totan, and then Zedru.
No, let us leave that one. Let's go to Ganta to what's the border?
Loguato. So, the corridor between Ganta to Loguato. So your first Ganta Senekwede and then Senekwede Loguato, right? So the corridor between Ganta to Senekwede, that corridor was being done by a Senegalese company, and that corridor was initiated. They had some discussion ongoing. We must admit, right? They had some discussion ongoing, and when we got in as a government, the government took it on.
Who had some discussions ongoing?
The former regime, former President Eddie Johnson Sirleaf.
Okay.
They had some discussion ongoing. And when we took over...
Did they secure funding?
Well, yes, I can say they had the date. The date, but not completed. All right? Because guess what? Now, the corridor from Senekwede to Yekepa, because that corridor, that project is all linked, right? The corridor, that corridor was completely renegotiated. So, but let me say this. Julius, Liberia has been faced with road challenge, with all weather road challenge from time immemorial. If you can recall in this country, when we were boys coming up, we always used to hear about Ganta Harper Highway under the Dole regime. Prior to the Dole regime, the Toba regime, the same thing. Those governments did what they could, but they never took it off from the ground. Like Eddie did some negotiations. She did well. She negotiated, And at the end of the day, the regime of former President George Weah made sure for those projects to kick off. Let me just explain the scenario. Look,
Because I was on the log. I've been on the Logo Atuo Road for 2-3 times now, and I've seen that the entire thing is paved. There are some portions that they should go back over it, and the residents that say it was paved before the 2023 December ended.
exactly.
It is the bridges to connect the portions. The bridges are already done. It is to connect those portions. There are some issues with people writing against the company but how come we didn't know? Let me come to you, Jeff. That entire stretch was paved. How come we didn't know?
Okay, so I know you're talking about the San Quelle to look at tour.
Mhm.
Okay, and the fact is that we knew, we talked about it over and over, that this road,
Yeah, please focus on the map so we hear you better.
that this road funding was secured under the CDC-led government, and construction took place under the CDC-led government. The San Quelle to look at tour is about 47.1 kilometers, and out of that 47.1 kilometer, over 25 kilometers already paved before election. So that just few works needed to be done on that corridor to be completed. We had this small problem with the contractor, which Minister Todd talked about, and that problem was, resolved by, because it was a tricky issue, and the leadership of the ministry had to handle that problem with the contractor. But
what was the problem?
a performance issue.
Okay.
So the ministry ensured that they performed. So, Julius, every project that is ongoing now in this country, 99.9% of the funding was secured under the CDC-led government. So every project that's ongoing, no propaganda can change that. Nobody can rewrite the history on that. In road construction and electricity, the CDC government secured funding for 10 years in electricity expansion. Every work done in electricity was secured under the CDC-led government. Every contract that's been implemented now under this government, the funding was secure. Most of the contract was signed, and projects started under the CDC-led government.
So let me just go back to the Senegal local tool, right? So the problem Jeff is talking about, that was, project management issue.
Exactly.
And the issue at our level, it was handled. But let me just say this: do you know that even up to now, this government, this government hasn't done a pin on our road?
Yeah.
Since we left?
I spoke with the Public Works Minister.
Since we left?
No, hold on, sir. I spoke with the Public Works Minister. I spoke with the superintendent of NIMBA, and what they said was, by the close of 2023 or so, or 2024, whatever it is, some group wrote against the company that they were involved in some stuff. So the funders decided to put a halt. But the road is almost entirely paved except for the portions around bridges, because the bridges are also done. It's just to link the bridges to the pavement of the road. And then from Campley to Logo Atuo, I think there's another layer that is required to go over that pavement.
Overlay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To reach the actual thickness of the road.
I have been there and I observed everything. There are like between 7 to 10 portions around bridges from Sanikwele to Logo Atuo that need to be paved around to complete.
So actually, it's the approaches.
That 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
So
The approaches need to be, joined. That's all.
Again, those were contract management issues, and those issues were taken care of substantially. So how many years it would take Unity Party to just negotiate a contract management issue? It's not in that role. Speak to the Public Works Minister and the team at the Minister of Public Works. Now a single project under the African Development Bank project, finance project, has moved an inch.
Okay.
Since we left power.
Let us move
All
to
right.
the reason why I invited you people here.
Yes.
One of the most important roles is the Ganta to Hapo, the Ganta to Zweju now, and all of that. Give us a full history of Ganta to Saklepie to Tapeta to Zweju.
Thank you. So let me just take the lead, and Jeff will support me with additional information. All right. So when we came to power, there was this secret arrangement between the former government of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the World Bank. And that agreement calls for the road pavement in segment. And so the agreement, it was difficult to be implemented because there were clauses in that agreement that had to do with the road fund money, fundings from the road fund being used as a collateral, as a guarantee to attract private sector investors, because the World Bank was not prepared to put in their own money. So they brought in the model where you needed to have the private sector working with the government of Liberia, you know, like a PPP arrangement, working with the government of Liberia to develop roads. And so when we came to power, the president, he showed that, look, these things cannot just be on the book and we'll be discussing it from time immemorial. He remembered vividly, according to him, that when he was a boy, that Ganta, Tapeta, Maryland corridor has been discussed from time immemorial, and no action, no practical action in terms of actual works were being done. And so he wanted to understand, the team wanted to understand exactly what were the layers of problem or obstacle that were storing these projects from starting. And in the discussion, some of these things came about. In the first place, the road fund was talked about, the road fund act was passed, and all of that and what have you, but the road fund itself was non-functional. The office of the road fund never existed before the inception of the CDC government. And so after the road fund office was set up, the government now needed to be very proactive, very innovative in showing that things of the past, mistakes of the past are not repeated. And so the government negotiated with the World Bank and said, look, we are in the midst of COVID. It will be difficult to be able to mobilize private sector fundings to come and invest in our road sector. In fact, the traffic count, the volume of revenue going to the road fund was not sufficient to be able to use as a collateral to attract the kind of fundings that were needed for that road. So the government, being very innovative and very proactive, decided, look, we will take the bold step, wrote the bank, Kwame was by then the country manager, wrote the bank, requesting the bank to allow the government of Liberia to upfront the cost of the road from Ganta to Sakopie. Meaning, instead of we waiting to mobilize private sector funding that we've been doing for over 12 years and it didn't work, we cannot wait for another 12 years, 20 years, 24 years. And so as a government, even though we are in the midst of COVID, we will front load the pavement of the corridor from Ganta to Sakopie. And behind the scene, that was a tactical arrangement to get the bank to move. And so the bank acquiesced to allow the government of Liberia to do that pavement. And so the government of Liberia engaged the contractor, and the contractor started the work.
So, are you saying that there was no funding secured
Absolutely.
by the Sirleaf administration?
No.
Absolutely.
Good.
And absolutely, there were no funding secured. And Jeff could come on that.
Yeah,
there were no funding secured.
Jeff, you want to come?
Thank you, Minister. And Minister Tor was succinct on everything about the road fund. And you see, this is what I said in my writer, that either the minister is not knowledgeable or he intentionally trying to twist the facts. Road fund had no money. There was no $29 million that was misapplied by the CDC. Never. That is a huge fabrication by this administration, and that is unfair. So this government had a full arrangement, like he said, with the World Bank to reallocate monies that were agreed upon in the road fund to go directly to the secret. Look, we never had time. There were years of preparation for the road fund. Nothing was going on, other than this president putting a foot down and say, look, we know you people want to help, but what we do, my government will fund all the money to do the road construction. And this is how come you see about 20 kilometers of that road were paved. Other sections will work on.
And then
yeah,
it stopped. Why?
Yes. But when did it stop? When did it stop? When? Westward until we went to election.
No, but at some point in time,
Yeah,
during
yes.
your time,
Look,
the work
listen,
stopped.
this is World Bank contract. It's not just ordinary contract. The requirements are high. The standards are high. And secondly, World Bank will never release money to government. No, they know that World Bank has the project office within the Ministry of Public Works that oversee all the project and do all the payment. Money from the World Bank will not come to government directly. There's no way government can interfere with World Bank money. And moreover, it's not possible for government to misuse US 20 million of World Bank's money and then World Bank still come back and refund that project. You know, you're a reasonable man. I mean,
No,
just a reasonable man standing there. You know that. Not possible.
What was secured on the Ganta toes where you
monies to come and invest in our road sector. In fact, the traffic count, the volume of revenue going to the road fund was not sufficient to be able to use as a collateral to attract the kind of fundings that were needed for that road. So the government, being very innovative and very proactive, decided, look, we will take the bold step, wrote the bank, Kwame was by then the country manager, wrote the bank, requesting the bank to allow the government of Liberia to upfront the cost of the road from Ganta to Sakopie. Meaning, instead of we waiting to mobilize private sector funding that we've been doing for over 12 years and it didn't work, we cannot wait for another 12 years, 20 years, 24 years. And so as a government, even though we are in the midst of COVID, we will front load the pavement of the corridor from Ganta to Sakopie. And behind the scene, that was a tactical arrangement to get the bank to move. And so the bank acquiesced to allow the government of Liberia to do that pavement. And so the government of Liberia engaged the contractor, and the contractor started the work.
So are you saying that there was no funding secured?
Absolutely.
Administration.
No.
Absolutely.
Good.
And absolutely, there were no funding secured. And Jeff could come on that.
Yeah,
there were no funding secured.
Jeff, you want to come?
Thank you, Minister. And Minister Tor was succinct on everything about the road fund. And you see, this is what I said in my writer, that either the minister is not knowledgeable or he intentionally trying to twist the facts. Road fund had no money. There was no $29 million.
So you see, fellow Liberians, what they want you to understand And to know true lies is that the government of Liberia had raw fund of $29 million. And that $29 million was mismanaged by President Weah. But thank God the actors, the people who were in the room, the people who were the architect of, the development of the previous government, they are now in the room providing you the information, the truth. And these are the kind of things that are necessary. Look, we got to play these things over and over and over and again because our society, Liberia, is so polarized to the extent, it's so vulnerable, it's so gullible to the extent that the lies, when it's continuously told, becomes truth. But we are here. Like we said, we make Joseph Newman Boyka and his government our project to debunk their misinformation, to debunk their lies. Even while they are in government, they stay lying. You weren't in government, you lie. Now that you are in government, you stay lying. But thank God, men are at the gate to defend the truth. Let's go ahead.
That was misapplied by the CDC. Never. That's a huge fabrication by this administration. And that's
I want to welcome my own brother Frank
So-
Ogongano Moluba. Thank you for joining us.
this government
We
has
appreciate
full
you.
arrangement, like he said, with the World Bank to reallocate monies that were agreed upon in the road fund to go directly to the secret. Look, we never had time. There were years of preparation for the road fund. Nothing was going on. Other than this president putting a foot down and say, look, we know you people want to help, but what we do, my government will fund all the money to do the road construction. And this is how come you see about 20 kilometers of that road were paved. Other section we work on.
And then
yeah.
it stopped. Why?
Yes. But when did it stop? When did it stop? When? West was ongoing until we went to election.
No, but at some point in time,
Yeah,
during
yes.
your time,
Look,
the work
listen,
stopped.
this is World Bank contract. It's not their ordinary contract. The requirements are high. The standards are high. And secondly, World Bank will never release money to government. No. They know that World Bank has the project office within the Ministry of Public Works that oversee all the project and do all the payment. Monies from the World Bank will not come to the government directly. There's no way government can interfere with World Bank money. And moreover, it's not possible for government to misuse US 20 million of World Bank's money and then World Bank still come back and refund that project. You know, you're a reasonable man. I mean, just a reasonable man. You know that. Not possible.
What was secured on the Ganta toes where you rode before you left power? What are the numbers? What do we need to know?
Okay, Mr. Todd wants to respond to that.
Okay, so thank you. So let's get it in context. So I added on to you from Ganta Sagapier was being paid exclusively with taxpayer money. And so from Sagapier to Tapeta is where the bank came in because of the proactive arrangement of the government of Liberia to get the bank to move faster. And so for that corridor, contract was signed, actual works started. Then from the corridor, Tapeta to Toastam.
Right now, under this administration, this road is almost reaching Tapeta now.
Yeah. So because of the good foundation, because of the good execution, because of the good plans,
Did you have the full funding in place already?
fully funded, like the Tapeta Toastam, fully funded also. Contract, everything was signed. Anything that was left was groundbreaking. As a matter of fact, the team at the Ministry of Public Works had a meeting with the community in Toastam, scheduling the time for groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And I had a Grand G, the lawmaker here, who said twice the groundbreaking should have taken place, and President Weah refused to go. He was supposed to break on, and he did not go twice. Why?
I think I don't know why
That is what that lawmaker said.
I don't know why that lawmaker was being political.
No, he
But
was
the
not
president,
political.
tell
He's from Grand Judah. He was disappointed that your government did not break grounds for a road that you reportedly secured monies for, when twice the president should have gone there and he did not go. Is it true?
Judah, let me just speak to that, because I personally were involved with that arrangement.
Okay.
There were numbers of times that we planned to do the groundbreaking for that corridor, because it was important to the president, because the entire attention was clearly on the SECRAM to lead the entire road construction to the southeast. So he wanted to be there. In fact, we planned the activities on 2 occasions. It did not fit within his schedule. He had to travel, and there's another time you're having another international meeting. So just before the campaign, we had planned another schedule for him to approve, so that we go about and do the groundbreaking in Grand Judah, in fact, because that was the essence, to hit the southeast. So he wanted to be there in person. This is why he kept putting off this groundbreaking ceremony.
And in addition, Julius, groundbreaking ceremony, by the name as the name depicts, is just ceremonial program. The weightlifting were already done. The process of procurement was completed. Job execution was needed to start. That's it. And so some projects. I want you to understand this. That Judah said the former President hails from the southeast, and so he did everything. And the communities along that corridor should be thankful to their son. They should be thankful to the CDC government. Again, Judah are taking back.
Some of them will not
if
see it
100
that way.
and some more years,
you can claim to.
So we're telling them now, if 100 and some more years, if that corridor could not even receive an inch of all-weather road, and you have it there now, you should be appreciative. The same with Bangasai.
No, we
will get there.
We'll come there.
Not yet?
No, let us remain on that road. I want it to be clear which portions your government secured monies for, that the money was already there for the work to start. From where to where? You said from Tapeta to Zwedru, or Autos and which one?
Okay, so I'll give you the corridors again. Good. Tapeta for Sacré-Pied, Tapeta. Agile construction works started. Tapeta, Tostan, funding secure, contract signed by the former Minister of Public Works, and in the left, groundbreaking. Total to Zwedru, funding 100% secure. Yes. Procurement activities were ongoing when we left, but funding 100% secure. All right? So people who don't have the information, or people who have information, but they try to mislead the public, they try to lie to the public like they did to come to power, they will always want to do that as a game plan. Well, again, Jeff said something about some $29 million.
The 2 people
that is grave.
29 million?
That is grave. Like Jeff said, how possible is that for a government to have access to money that they don't control? In the first place, the World Bank money is not physically managed by the government of Liberia. It's not even transferred to the consolidated account where the Minister of Finance, the Controller General, and other stakeholders have signature to the account. No, it's not so. The World Bank money is kept with the World Bank, and the PFNU, that is completely supervised by the World Bank, manage the fundings. So how would that kind of money leave on our account? That is just not practically possible. That was a complete misrepresentation of facts.
Was he talking about the World Bank money or the Road Fund money? There was a time when some amounts of the Road Fund was used to pay people. I can remember that story. I think I was in the UK then, but I know that story came up.
Today, newspapers are reporting that the CDC-led government misuse. In fact, your own story that you carried before coming here, it was said that the CDC government misused World Bank money.
No, I mean,
maybe the minister is being wrongly quoted, but if that quotation is true, that is just too elementary for any minister to say, because the minister should be aware that government of Liberia or government outside here does not directly control the World Bank's funding or the African Development Bank fundings. It's not done that way. Never has it been, and it is not so now.
Okay, you want to come in before we come to.
Julius, I want to be on record, right?
Mhm.
And there's too much.
Please focus on the
There's too
microphone.
much controversy over the project that was done on our government compared to what they are doing. First thing, there has been no new project initiated by this government whatsoever. Any work that's ongoing is based on the heavy lifting of the CDC government. So these road corridors are all ready, prepared, and just for work to begin. And this is what the Unity Party.
These are things that our brothers from the Unity Party will not tell you. Are they collecting fundings? Yes, they are collecting taxes. Why is it that this government is not initiating any kind of new project? Ask yourself why. I want to repeat. Why is it that this government, with all of the money that they are collecting, right? All of what they are collecting, why is it that these people are not initiating any new projects? You know why? I know some of you know, some of you may not. The reason is very simple. Revenues that are being generated or being raised by this government is going towards the pockets of government ministers and Joseph Numa Boyka. So what the guys are cleverly doing is to use this time up to maybe 2027 to continue the projects that has already been negotiated for, that funding is already secured for by His Excellency President Dr. George Manenguia, is to continue it. And at the end of the day, money that are raised go towards them. And this is the reason why you are observing this. How can we have less people on payroll, but the money on the payroll it increase? How? No, let me put it this way. Maybe you are not understanding. I am asking a question. And the question that I'm asking is, when this government took over, what Joseph Numa Boyka started? Sacking people, right? Took people from the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs, took people from projects that were being run by this government, the MCC, took people from basically they took people from, they put people down from everywhere. So you will expect that upon putting these people down or taking jobs from these people, what will happen? The wage bill is the salary that government can pay everybody that working in government. You will expect that it will reduce, right? Because the less people that you have on the payroll is equivalent to less amount being used by the government for salary payment and etc. That's what normal person would think, right? But then ask yourself, look at the wage bill. Look at the salary that they're supposed to use to pay everybody. Even though they're sacking people, but instead of the wage bill reducing, it's going up. It's going up. It's going up. It's almost like, take for an example, you have this ministry, for example, Ministry A. You get 30% employed at Ministry A. You took over and say, look, 30% is too much, man. 10% can do the work. So out of the 30, you take 10 and set down 20. You think what is supposed to happen? If you are paying each person $1, $1, the 30% in at $30 right there. So if you take 20% from there, what will be left in addition, in surplus? You will be left with almost $20,000, $20, sorry, right? So meaning that you are reducing expenses. But in this government, it's not the reality. So you take out the people, the less people that are there, instead of using the money for projects, instead of using the money on the hospital, instead of using the money on the education sector, you know what they are doing? Those people that they set down, they take the money and share it amongst themselves. That's what they are doing. Sharing the money amongst themselves. Getting fabulous benefits. The boys want to live like they were living during the Ellen regime, where you had the international community, where you had money pouring in from all over. That's the kind of life they want to live. They are used to this opulence lifestyle. They don't care about you, the Liberian people. So they want to maintain that standard of living. That's the reason why in this difficult economy and difficult times, ministers are entitled to $3,000 for their horse generator. I don't know why they are boasting of LEC. There's the reason why in this time, government officials are taking up to $5,000 every month. Every month, $5,000 for housing allowance. $5,000. There's the reason why the Minister of Education, Dr. Jasso Jala, a female who lives here in the United States, will go to the Ministry of Education, take all of this money, and at the end of the day, fail to do what is right. The woman is at that particular ministry as if that place is for her, that her birthright. Very rude and arrogant, talking to people anyhow. This is not the attribute of a trained woman, no matter where you are from. Our education sector is laying in ruins. It's completely, it has degenerated. You get public school teachers on strike. They are not even going to school. They are not even showing up. All kinds of things are happening. It's almost like every school now, they are doing their own thing. When you get the education minister sitting there, public schools are dilapidated without teachers, and she doesn't care. All she understands is that she must get her money to travel. That's what's important for her. She must, because every time these people travel, they are entitled to per diems. So they don't care about what is happening home. They will attend these big conferences and lie to the people. They will lie to the people. So these are some of the lies, even though that they are in government, but they still want to portray, and we will correct them. These criminals that have taken over state power, we will correct them. We will arrest them while they are saying these lies. Logically, they will be arrested and handcuffed with the truth. So let's go ahead and listen.
The government is not able to do just to start work. So instead of working, they decided to.
No, they are actually working.
Which new project?
Where? Which new project?
No, I mean,
That's very important.
There's none.
The very ones that you are talking about.
Yes.
There are works happening on the topic.
So why is it that this government cannot initiate their own project? Like, I'll give you an example, right? Let's take for an example. When this government took over, there were some other projects that were already in the pipeline by the previous government. The government did not hesitate to take over those projects. The government did not hesitate. But the government also of President Weah was also carrying on development in other areas. Like, for example, the building a hospital. Even though President Weah was carrying on some projects that were left, undone by the Salif administration and Joseph Newman Burke administration, but that did not stop his developmental agenda. That did not stop him building roads. That did not stop him building hospitals. That did not stop him giving us free education and etc. It did not stop us. It did not stop him. So let's listen here.
On the Saclay to Tapeta Road. There is work ongoing on the RIA road.
Yeah, because it should continue. Because guess what?
Those works were already in place. Every action in place. You talk about the RIA road. This was the same road that our government was heavily criticized for. In fact, they said it was not possible. We had to work overtime. We did the heavy lifting that today that road is ongoing. The perception that road was not even qualified to be called our airport road came from the former President George Weah. The United Party government never dreamed that it was possible to expand that road to what it is now. And now they are taking credit for it without referencing the CDC government. That is unfair. That's wrong. They need to initiate projects themselves.
No, but
Start something. Start something. Start working.
No,
Don't just rely on the heavy lifting of the previous government, and then you post that you're working. So let me tell you something.
No, hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
Let me just say something.
Hold
Let me
on.
name
No,
some.
you got to hold on before you name.
Okay.
There is a realization and there is a timeless truth that government is continuity.
We agree.
Yeah, so if you started something, we should expect a new government to continue, especially if your claim that fundings were secured is true.
So Jeff, just before you continue to really name some rules, look, we agree, but what we say, do not take credit for it exclusively. Be honest with the Liberian people. Don't repeat what you did in the elections. You told the Liberian people that you're going to increase salary. You told the people that you're going to increase health workers' salary. You said you're going to increase police post salary. You said you're going to add on to this. You're going to reverse harmonization. You didn't do it.
No, they
so
did.
Here is it.
They did top ups.
Top up for how many percent? Judas, just 1 second. Judas, 1 second.
That's what the
Judas, 1 second.
Judas,
1 second.
That is increment.
Judas, I want to make that. Judas, Judas, I want to make this point. I want to make this point. Julius, every government and the standard have been set by the CDC government will live on for a very long time. Don't come to power and want to do business as usual and you think the Liberian people will take you to be serious. No, this is the information age. This is the time where the people not just listen to ELWA and ELBC. Right now, you see all the gadgets around here, the people in all parts of the world are seeing us. So when you are talking about roles, when you are talking about coming to state power in this country, you should have plans. Do not just come and lie your way to power and you have nothing to offer. Listen, let me say this. I think they shouldn't even be claiming credit because when we were doing those roles, they said they were nothing. So you can't be doing it now and say there's something. No, you're still misleading the people. Okay. Be innovative. Come up with projects that will add to the quality of life of Liberian people. Judas, before you continue, Judas, quickly. The RIA road that Jeff said, that corridor has been a death trap in this country from time immemorial. The Unity Party government was in power for 12 years. They couldn't start. You saw what happened, and you see the experience of the Liberian people with the Invisible Park. You see how the people gravitate towards that place every weekend, weekdays, holidays, and carrying on recreational activities. You see PHP, you see Clarendon, you see Dole Community, you see West Point, you see Yucatan. These are innovations that the people should capitalize on and think outside the box. They're not doing anything like that. It pains me that these people will have 6 years to work. When they had 12, they didn't do anything. We had 6, we did what we could, and they still not appreciating what we did. We're not saying don't do it because government is continuing. But as you do them, make sure that credit go to former President George Manneh. Yeah, that's the point we're making.
Yeah, before we go to the lines, Jeff.
So Julius,
and Jeff, you can read a list of rules.
Yes, thank you. Let me just clarify to you. The reason why Minister Giddings is indulging in fabrication, in lies, is because George Weah and the CDC-led government has set a standard that any government in this country will have to measure up to. And this Unity Party government is not able to measure up to that standard. You mentioned the 29 million. The standard of development that the CDC government set in this country. No government prior to CDC government set the standard of work that was done in this country.
Look at that airport terminal.
The reason why he mentioned the 20 million is to discredit CDC. And he cannot do that.
You see, fellow Liberians, we will continue to play these videos because it's important. That's why I always told people, when people lie on your name, especially with the kind of gullible society that we have, with the kind of people that we are dealing with, do not say that and say, me, I leave my own with God. No. The generation, the dispensation, the era that we used to say we live our own with God, those eras are gone. That's the time God used to deal with men physically. He will come down, send angel, and what have you. Now God is using men. So when men lie on you, you come and provide the information. And that's why I must say kudos to some of the people who continue, former officials who continue to use the media to be able to checkmate this government. I want to say kudos to all of you. I want to say kudos to you, the ordinary people who continue to support this work that we do. Because doing this will provide the information to you to equip yourself. Now the people of Liberia are getting to know the truth. Oh yes, the people of Liberia are getting to know the truth. The truth crushed to the ground. I don't care how hard it is crushed, it will bounce back. The truth is stubborn. You cannot lie on the truth. No, you can't. So let's go ahead and watch this.
He's trying to prove that there were no money to do these roads, and so they negotiated and got the 29 million to do, and then they take the credit. And that is unacceptable under any circumstance. A leader of a public sector, like public work, cannot indulge in lies. It discredits you. It discredits the government. So look, before the removal of the CDC government from power, there were a lot of major roads that were already under construction. We have, for example, already he mentioned about the Ganta Sarai road. That is a 1 kilometer road. 65% of that road already completed. Up to now, what has the Unity Party government done on that road?
Looking for funding.
See, we are looking for funding almost 100 and some more years.
Were secured. I'm telling you.
But
let me be on record for this.
But the project got stalled because of some monies owed the Kuwaitis, I believe, by your both governments combined.
Exactly.
Yeah, from the previous and then yours combined. We're owing some money, I think, from the port also.
Yes.
Monies that were credited in 2016 or so, and you all could not follow up on the payments of, I think it was 14 million or so.
So Julius,
if I can remember the figures well.
So Julius,
so they can only progress on our success, but on other aspects they can progress on that. What are the progress they've made on that already? What? Let them come and tell you what the progress they made since we
recently.
What the progress? They only any progress on our success.
Recently, the finance minister, the public works minister, and others were in Kuwait, and they were negotiating for funding, and there are good signals coming out of that.
We have signal on the buses. We have signal on the yellow equipment. We have signal on the I don't know how many billion from China. Where are they? Lies. We have signal.
It takes time. You know, Jeff. You know that you were.
We have signal on the NGO jobs that was supposed to be created. Where are they? Nothing.
Jeff.
So and these are not issues. So,
Jeff,
let me tell you. Let me give you.
Before you gave it,
listen.
Let's be clear. You were in government, and you know that these things take time to come by.
No, they didn't know that.
Let's say this, fellow Liberians. These are some of the lies that we had to deal with the past government. The past government made the Liberian people to understand that they have connections, they have friends in high places, they have the experience, they have the expertise, they know what it takes to make things happen in the period of 4 months. I want you to listen because I'm about to play a video. I don't want you to believe me. The previous government, the Weah-led government, was striving, making strides in the midst of economic, somebody will say, buhaha. In the midst of economic, decadence. In the midst of economic hardship, President Weah was going around seeking funding to build his country. The Unity Party condemned and said within the period of 4 months, Liberia will be changed and better than Dubai. I don't want you to believe what I am saying. I want to play you a video here. Let me go to this video. Let me bring you this video. 4 months, they said. We're in a period of 4 months, according to what Joseph Numa Boyka told us, that Liberia will be changed because they have the connections, they have the friends, and etc. According to what Joseph Numa Boyka said. Let me bring this.
Now allow small children to tell market when they should be in school. They should be in school. We will not allow those young ladies to go in the street whole day yourself. The money you make can't even buy rice. We can't do it. We want to put dignity on our people. And that's why we're here. That's the mission we have. And I can assure you, if you check your calendar, it's exactly 4 months from today. Today is the 10th, right? When is the election? You start checking. 4 months to the date. After 4 months, you will see a new Liberia coming up.
You hear him? You hear Joseph Numa Boyka? No, this is not me saying it. Sometimes when we say these things, people will want to argue. People will call us names. And we have the thick skin for that. We are prepared for these things. We are prepared for it. So you listen to Mr. Boyka, who said that under the Weah-led administration, people were working, earning nothing. They were selling, getting chicken change. Children were on the street, and etc., etc. But that when he becomes president, in the period of 4 months, Liberia will be a prosperous nation, which many of you believe the lies that were being told by Mr. Boyka. I will play this over for you to hear it. But today, they are talking about time. Do you understand that there were time? But let me carry this back as you listen again.
We will not allow small children to tell market when they should be in school. They should be in school. We will not allow those young ladies just go in the street whole day yourself. The money you make can't even buy rice. We can't do it.
You hear, Mr. Boyka? They will not allow children to be selling in the street and young ladies to be in the street. He was saying, basically, we will provide jobs for you, so you will not have to go and sell. Where are the jobs? The children who are supposed to be in school, where are they? When the number of enrollment has drastically reduced, parents cannot even afford to send the children even to public school, government school. You had a pathological liar doing campaign, lying to you. We told you that this man is a liar. You did not believe. But let's go ahead as we listen to Naboto.
They didn't know that. They thought it was bread and butter. When we were doing the heavy lifting, they thought it was bread and butter. Now they can't move an inch on our
Jeff quickly.
I want to welcome you.
Do you know that even the overhead pass or passes, one in front of the ministerial complex and the other one
I was going to tell you about that.
To SKD Boulevard Junction. Do you know that discussion, I heard them talk about it, but they didn't say the other side. Do you know that payments, the government side of the bargain, were completed by the former regime of President Weah, meaning all the RAB activities.
But why?
That one
Get started? You're saying government went and voted against the Chinese.
So those are all the political.
No.
Sorry, let me give you this important information. There's going to be a very important meeting today at about 7 p.m. 7 p.m. There's going to be a very important meeting. All members of the CDC USA residing in the DMV. The DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So all citizens residing in these states, you are invited to a very important meeting. The meeting starts at 7 p.m. That is Eastern Time on today. And the conference number for that particular meeting is 774-777-4255. And you will enter the code. The conference code is 592621. So you will enter the code and definitely you will be in for the meeting. This announcement was brought in by the Honorable Manning George, who is the chairman of the DMV chapter. So all of you are invited. We will also be open to those who are not even residing in the DMV area. If you are not a resident of the DMV area and you want to participate in the meeting, because we have one agenda. While it is true that there are some issues of the DMV will be discussed, but our agenda is to ensure that we have a better Liberia, and etc. So those of you who are not part of the DMV, but you will want to come and witness our meeting, you want to participate, you are also invited. The conference number is here. That is 774-777-4255. And you will enter the code, which is 592621, to be part of the meeting. Thank you so very kindly.
But that one, I'm political.
You just said, Jeff, you just
that
said,
one I choose. That
Jeff,
one, your
Jeff,
government voted against
Jeff,
the Chinese.
you just
So the
said
Chinese
these things
started
can take
protest.
time. Just said these things can take time.
But I won't talk too long because you went and voted
What
against
too
the
long when the
Chinese.
people not doing it 12 years and we pay, we settle all
But
the
y'all
business
went
over
and
there.
voted against the Chinese. So the people started the whole thing. The time the project was started, it did not start because the Chinese were not happy.
Jeff, the Chinese
Because you were so afraid of the Americans, but were still sanctioning your people. You went and voted against the Chinese.
We're
and
not
the
here
Chinese
to
still
discuss that particular
No, but I
point.
want part of it. What you say? You talk
So,
about
no, whether we voted for Chinese or
You don't
not,
want
but the
that's the reason that the overhead
reality
bill-
is clear
No,
that this government is indulging
don't
into
discuss
lies
us.
and falsehood, and we cannot tolerate that. We cannot allow it to slide. It's not
Which one?
right to
Judas,
continue to lie
Judas.
about everything.
And Jeff, let me echo this.
Which one?
Judas,
Mm.
on numerous occasions,
Mm.
do you know that the minister have been in the business of telling the people of Bourgeois Island that the former regime
I want to welcome my own sister, Fatu Sharif. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your support as always. Thank you so very well. We are always grateful to have you and many others in our midst. Thank you, Mama, for your presence. You are recognized. Claude Allison, we appreciate your presence.
never did any intervention on the corridor, Gabriel Tucker Bridge to St. Paul Bridge. He said that on numerous occasions. And how will he say that? We have maintenance contract on our road. We have real contract already secured on our road. So how will he be repeating that kind of narrative when he knows very well that that is far from the reality?
Yeah, but every rainy season, sometimes works were done, but
Exactly.
the road would still get bad.
Oh, yeah. But guess what? Even the maintenance that is being done now, if it takes long for the Japanese intervention to start, exactly the road will deteriorate. Because guess what? Our climatic condition, the precipitation of rain in this place is very high.
Okay.
And the foundation of that road was done since 1976 or 78 for the OU conference. So that's why the government, being very much innovative, very much proactive, decided to negotiate
Okay.
with the Japanese government.
Let us come back to Jeff for the next
and
1
the
minute before I take few calls.
Okay,
I gotta take few calls
you
before I
take
let
few
you
calls.
go.
Just 1 minute. And I want to be on record on this.
No.
I will need this rule
Yeah,
so
read
that
it. Yeah, read it till you won't read it.
so that the lies can stop.
Yeah, read it now.
So
read
these
it.
are the major corridors
Mhm.
that was already funded and work have started. The Banga to Salaye, which is 81 kilometer, all the 8165 kilometer already done. The Ganta Sanikwele to Yekepa, that is 67 kilometers. All of that 37 kilometers were already done. We have the Ganta to Saklepie. Okay, that is the main problematic one that he lied about. The Ganta to Saklepie is 39 kilometers. All of that 20 kilometers were already done under our administration. We started the work started, the contracts are all in place. They just need to continue the work. Sanikwele to look at 47.1 kilometers. All of that, about 22 kilometers already done under our administration. Hapa to Kalukin, 50 kilometers, 30 kilometers already completed. We have Kalukin to Fishtown, that's 80 kilometers. 80 kilometers was completed, 100%. We have Hapa Junction, Kavala to the custom border. You know what I'm talking about? Going straight to the border. That is 16 kilometers. All of the 16 kilometers, 100% 16 kilometers completed under our government. We have the ERW road you already know about. It's 100% completed. They're just doing the dressing of the road now and they're boasting about it, taking credit for that. That is unacceptable.
Plus all the numerous other community roads.
So those are the major corridors. Then you have all the
What about Cape Mount? Did you all secure anything for Cape Mount?
Oh, yes.
Yes. The Cape Mount, that is from the junction straight to Medina
to Rawas.
to Rawasport. Fully contract, everything in place. In fact, work has started.
What started before we leave?
What started on that road? I think it was done by the West African Construction.
Yeah.
All the SSF, West African. They did that. They're doing that road currently. That road was awarded, work has started, and everything done on that road. So let them build on our successes. Let them do that instead of trying to disrespect our hard work and claim credit for it.
Okay, thanks so kindly, gentlemen. Let's take a few calls. Our next guest is here. This is the OK Conversation on OKFM 99.5. This will continue. Hopefully, someday we can bring both sides to face each other. That would be a good thing, face to face. Just how we used to do it before when CDC were in power, and we used to bring Giddings and others. It will be okay to bring your two and Giddings and others. Yeah, it'll be a very good thing. We got a lot to happen now. 777-995-555-995-995. Welcome. Let's hear you quickly.
Judo, sir, thank you very much. This is Sakaros Gray.
Go ahead.
Let me quickly appreciate the two former ministers of the CDC-led administration. And I love when you said something, Judas, you said government is continuity. But do these guys who in government understand the issue of continuity? That's why when people are empowered to make them to understand what continuity is all about. On the Rawalspur Road is the SSF. That contract was given and concluded under the in fact covers expansion, everything was being done on the Rawalspur Road. Okay. But again, I want to say thank you to those guys. Look, tomorrow, gentlemen, I'm happy. I hope former ministers of government will come like you people. Tomorrow, Lord, you'll get a lunch on me at the headquarters of the CDC by 3 o'clock. Your time. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. Let's hear you quickly. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Let's hear you.
Musa Kone. And for me, I can only say debate ends. Facts, true, is very easy. You see how fluent, Jomi, I'm not telling you thank you. You see how fluent and how eloquent the guys are when they are discussing facts. Every other conversation is false. But you know what, Julius? You, Julius, you get problems. The guys in Studio get problem. Musa Kone get serious problem. But of course, President, we are getting
colleagues who
So let's bring you something here. Let's bring you something here for you to listen again. It's very important for you to get this. Okay, so let me remove this. Let me remove this and then give you this information. You know, fellow Liberians, the Unity Party government came to power through lies. And through the same lies, they think that they can find their way out easily. But again, we are here to checkmate them. Time is of essence. Like I said, you know, we are doing other stuff, but we hope to be on later. But then we are inviting each and every one of you to our today's meeting. Each and every one of you are invited to our today's meeting. Here is the meeting information. You are invited. The meeting is at 7 p.m. So, like I said, time have caught up with us. But until we meet again, have yourself a God bless day. Bye from my end.